Happy Sunday. Welcome in, everybody, to the DNVR Nuggets pregame show presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. You want to download it now because later in the show, we're going to be looking at all the best bets for the game, and that'll help us preview what... I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to lie, guys. Usually pregame energy through the roof. I'm a little
You know what? You know what that means?
What's that?
This is a big one, baby.
It is a big one.
Would you say this is a must-win?
It's not at all. It's actually not at all.
Sorry,
it's
so wait, hold on.
kinda
So
meaningless.
you're saying if we lose this game, we
I
should
don't
not
like
pack
losing to the
season up?
Jazz, so I don't want to see it.
Yo, this to me is a must-win just from a mental, just like from a vibe standpoint. Like I'm always looking out for the vibes.
Well, good news. The Nuggets are fresh. They have had 36 hours off since their 5-game road trip. And, after this game, they also get a lot of rest. They play tomorrow, and that one, too, is kind of a big one with Detroit coming to town. But we're not going to sit here and complain and make excuses, guys. The Denver Nuggets aren't, so we aren't either. But I want to get into some notes. First, of course, I'm joined by Brendan Vogt. He's back.
Howdy. How we doing, fellas?
You got a little curl going on in the back there. I just
it's
noticed.
called I haven't gotten a haircut in
Is that what it's
6
called?
months.
I like it. I like
Thank
that
you.
style.
I like the curl.
Some call it the ducktail. Others call it
The ducktail.
gross.
I'd say it's
I
not
actually
gross.
call it gross, but I like it still.
Thank you.
Then I got D-Light over here.
Do you have any comments about my hair?
Nope, looks great.
Okay.
Looks nondescript, which is what I really like in a person's
Okay.
haircut. So, guys, a couple notes here, and I want to ask you about the Utah Jazz. They're on a streak. I don't know if you guys heard. A couple game notes real quick. Donovan Mitchell in. Derek Favors also in. So they're going to be a mostly full-strength roster tonight.
Who cares?
Denver Nuggets not sitting anyone out. If they were playing tonight, the Orlando Magic, is Jamal Murray playing?
I think so, actually.
Yeah, I do too.
You just think he's like, whatever.
I really do think Malone is in the wipe some dirt on it mode. Just get out there and play through it.
Murray's never going to give himself a rest. And I think you and your partner, Matt
Lycos.
Moore, have nailed this with Malone. If they're not winning...
Matt was on it before I was.
Sure. So shout out Matt Moore. If they're not winning, then he's going to need to play his guys so they win. If they are winning, he's not going to want to break up that rhythm.
Yeah.
So I just think he's going to play Murray through this.
Yeah. I tend to agree with you. I wish I could say no, but they're just going to do this until they have to sit him for some reason. And the truth is, I don't know when those games will come. You look at the schedule, every game feels like, oh man, not the Lakers. You got to learn how you play against them. And then
I know it's funny. We're like, man, the Western Conference is tight every single year.
Yeah,
it's
every
like you just
single year.
can't.
Yeah.
It's funny because when we started off, and obviously things will change as we go, but just looking at who are the risers and fallers in the Western Conference, the Mavericks are terrible somehow.
yeah.
Well,
they might just be terrible.
That's what I mean.
They
Phoenix
counted on Porzingis. You never count on Porzingis.
that's everybody knows.
You never
that.
go full Porzingis.
But
never go full Porzingis.
But it's funny, there's just not a time to. You're right.
Right.
Every game means something.
Well, here's some numbers, guys. I want to tell you. Tell me if you're concerned or if this is intimidating or not. The Jazz have won 11 in a row.
Yeah, that's concerning for me.
Is that intimidating?
Yeah.
A little
I
intimidating.
think who are the notable wins on that?
The Denver Nuggets.
that they won by 4, and I thought we should have won that
true.
game.
It is true. So here's another one. I'm not going to get into all the details here, but I'm just putting some numbers. The Jazz have led for 40 or more minutes in 8 of the 11 games, meaning almost all of the game.
Well, yeah, I don't want all the details, but I need to know how impressed. The simple number, there's got to be something behind it.
They have led by at least 7. These are all courtesy of David Locke, by the way, my boss. Shouts to David for
Shout out David.
getting rich. Jazz have led by at least 17 points in 10 of 11 games.
Yeah,
17.
That also concerns me. I'll tell you right now,
I think the only
guys.
game they haven't.
The Denver game?
Denver Nuggets.
I will just can we skip the third quarter now? Can we just
God,
spot
I know.
Utah 15 points?
Yeah, for real.
And just
Wait,
there's your 15-0
So
quarter.
they beat the Bucks.
That's a good win.
That's a good one. They beat the Pistons and the Cavaliers and the Wizards.
Cavs are a good one. I'm sorry, that's a good win.
Yeah.
Cavs are good right now.
And
No,
the
it's true.
Hawks.
That's a good one. I mean, that's
Pelicans twice.
That's
Mavericks
not-
twice.
yeah.
Knicks.
it doesn't matter. These
It
are still
does
good
matter.
wins.
I'm
Oh wait,
saying-
so they have 5 good wins and 6 not
No,
good
I'm saying
wins.
Would it be better if you're Denver and you get...
I'm saying as far as the full intimidation.
All right. All right, they've led by 20 or more in 8 of 11 games.
Yeah.
That's intimidating. And then here's the crazy one for me. Only 5 teams in NBA history have taken at least 40% of their shots from 3, and none of them have shot over 37%. The Jazz right now are shooting over 40% of their shots from 3, shooting 47%, 10% better than any other team to shoot this volume of 3.
Don't worry, though. The Nuggets, they're impervious to
I know.
opponent shooting luck.
That's the
Never
one,
affects
that's
them.
the one thing we can count on.
You guys know my least favorite, well, one of my least favorites, not my least favorite, one of my least favorite players, Gobert. I'm not a big fan of Rudy Gobert, but
Rudy Gobert.
Gobert.
So I thought this happened in the playoffs last year where Denver protect the rim at all costs, this or that. guys getting loose from three, Donovan Mitchell going off, like the pick and roll, you have to pick your poison. I think Rudy Gobert is the poison you pick because making him like dribble or shoot or like walk is like that's the key to beating him, right?
Talk or
So, but I'm serious. I look at it. I looked at his points this year, like how he's done overall. He's got a game with 29 points, a game with 20 points. They won those games. He has the third highest score. He had 2 games with 18 points. They lost. They lose 18 when he scored 18 2 different times. You go down. He's actually scored 12 or fewer points in half of the games.
Yeah.
Like teams, I think are you collapse on him. We can't let him get free inside. I think you actually kind of let him get free, and maybe he gets 29 points, but probably not. Maybe,
yeah.
And that's the key. So that's just one thing I'm looking at. But nonetheless, the Jazz are a fantastic team, including Gobert, fantastic player, and you got to pick your poison with them. And if Denver lets him,
I would choose the poison named Gobert, the one that looks like Gogurt.
Yeah. The problem is like when the Jazz
it's like a mild poison that like maybe you survive. You might survive.
It's like tall, but.
The problem is when the Jazz are on against Denver, it feels like the Jazz are picking their own poison. They're in full control, but we'll see.
All right, guys, exciting news. We have the homie Miroslav. I haven't talked to this guy all year. Our homie.
Unbelievable.
I'm excited to bring him on for the pregame show. Let's go ahead. Hey, let's go ahead and throw him up on the screen. Look at you. The homie. Can we hear you? Oh, wait, no, we can't hear you yet. We're having a little bit. Here we go. There it is. Miroslav.
Dobro večer.
Dobro večer. And hold on, I have another one for you. I'm bringing it up. Idemo Nuggets.
Idemo Nuggetsi.
Idemo Nuggets. Batali Jazere.
Batali Jazere.
All right, let's do it.
Canceled because Adam says something he didn't mean to.
I was studying up. I was brushing up on some Serbian over the weekend, and here we are. All right, Miroslav, we haven't talked to you. My first question is just what are your thoughts on the season so far? I've tuned into the show, but my Serbian's a little rough, so if you could translate some of what you've been saying.
Your Serbian's rough. I think we just learned that it's beautiful. We heard you speak it like an angel.
It's true. For the audience.
You like to say what's my big takeaway from the season?
I would like to say that.
For the season is that I'm really happy that now we are in a part of season when we play terribly and win games.
Okay. You think that's where we are?
Yeah. That's well. We're not great. We're not great, but finally the win-loss column is getting better. So I'm happy because last season it was the full season of just that, playing terribly and just winning the games. So yeah, I'm happy because we used to play really bad and lose games. So this is better.
So what do you think about Jokic's season so far? I mean, obviously it's been impressive. How do you evaluate him?
I'm blown away because when we did the season preview show about Jokic, I said he will have 8.5 to 9 assists, and it looks like it will go that way this season anyway. But I didn't expect 25, 26 points per game. That's totally crazy, and I'm really excited if he managed to get over that 25 points per game mark because no Serbian ever have crossed that point mark in NBA history. Peja Stojakovic was the closest one with 49.5 or something like that.
That's really interesting. That's a little tidbit I wasn't prepared for.
There's a little nugget for you.
Miro, in the Discord, you were saying one of the things that has you most excited about the Nuggets short-term and long-term is the emergence of Jokic as a leader, and that maybe he's really growing, taking strides in that arena this season. Is that a fair way to summarize your perspective?
I'm blown away by that, to be honest. I really didn't expect this amount of leadership from him. Even though he still says, no, we're egalitarian team, we are all leaders, blah blah. But you can see him on the court all the time, and you can see it in the stats as well, even if you don't watch the games. And you could see his frustration, his anger on Friday night when he just broke that chair. So that's really good sign. I want to see more of that. I want to see passion out there.
So if fans don't know, because somebody had to send this to me, I didn't see it on the broadcast, but it was after the game, I believe, right? The game was over, and Jokic walks to the sideline. It looks like him and Monte Morris, of all people, are like jawing back and forth, and he kicks a chair, like a pretty good kick. Like this was a very frustrated kick, which is kind of crazy because I didn't. you could tell he was frustrated they were losing, but I didn't think especially frustrated. But it was interesting. Do you, Miroslav, is this the Serbian fire? Is this just competitive players, or do you feel like this is a sign of something uniquely frustrating going on?
I think he's doing that on purpose. To be completely honest, I don't think
Performative.
He really has it in him because he's so nice. So he just needs to pretend to be a bad guy, just so everybody else would take him
I'm gonna start
seriously.
throwing my weight around.
You should. You really
My
should.
nightmare.
I'm serious though, Miroslav. Why do you think it's performative? You meaning he's putting a little embellishment in it?
I cannot be 100% sure. Of course, I have no insight.
Right.
But he's such a nice guy. I really thought we would never see this ever. Like in 10 seasons, we wouldn't see it. Now it's already there. So let's hope some of the guys get more serious, and let's hope some of the guys have the chance to get right, because it's obvious some of the guys are not really 100% physically healthy. So that's on Malone, I have to say. I mean, I don't care if a player says, I want to play. Your coach will just say, sit down, man. You need to rest a couple of games now. This is on Malone. He's turning slowly into Tom Thibodeau, and I'm not liking that. But that's just one part of it, of course.
But what about Jokic? I mean, Murray is the guy I think we're thinking of, especially. He's so banged up. But do you think Jokic needs a game off coming up before too long?
No, he never does. I don't know why, but he never does. I mean, he could use like 3 minutes less every game, just to be more fresh in the fourth quarter. But that's it. I don't think he needs days off.
Would you agree with me that what he really needs is a game or two where the team just plays the right way? Like to see the ball popping, guys moving, that would be more reinvigorating, refreshing for him than rest itself.
Yes, and we saw that this week. I don't remember if it was against Miami or against Dallas when they had 18 assists at the halftime, but only one of them was from Jokic. That means that the ball was popping, ball was moving properly. And then when you unload your star, you put less load on his shoulders.
Right.
That's the way to preserve him.
Yeah. I want to ask you, because we're going to segue in the next segment to talk about a big story that's happened in Denver sports, but not necessarily directly pertaining to the Nuggets, and that is that arguably the best player in Colorado Rockies history just got traded away for a bag of peanuts, and the Rockies owner, I think, has solidified himself as the worst owner in Denver, which is amazing because the Broncos don't really even have an owner.
They do not have an owner. They have a trust, and the trust, a conglomeration of just ideas of people are better than an actual owner for the Rockies.
And the Kroenkes have an international reputation as poor owners.
So it's really something special. But I want to ask you about, I know because I've heard stories that ownership in Serbia, Serbian basketball clubs, in professional sports in general, maybe soccer or whatever else, water polo, it can be a little bit of a unique situation. What does ownership mean to sports programs in Serbia?
Well, it's everything is difficult in Serbia. Nothing is really easy to be explained. I will just use 3 examples of basketball teams because basketball is my forte. So first of all, you have Mega Basket, the team that Jokic played for. That's a private club owned by one guy who is a basketball manager to all the players playing for him. Miško Ražnatović, and his only motive with this team is to earn money. So this is why he doesn't care about trophies. He doesn't care about winning streaks. He just wants to build up his players as much as he can and then sell them at the biggest possible price. It's not even selling them. He just has a percentage of their future contracts, and that's his motive. Now the second
it's a showcase.
The old pump
yeah,
and
it's
dump.
showcase club. Yeah, it really is. The second example would be Red Star Belgrade, which is a private club owned by one guy called Nebojša Čović, and this club is the most similar thing to NBA clubs, meaning you have ownership, you have his own motives. Good thing about it is that in Europe, if you're really bad, you will not play at the top level. You will just get relegated. So this is why he needs to keep his team good. so he can play. He can stay playing in EuroLeague. If he doesn't win an Adriatic championship, then he will not play in EuroLeague, and then there will be no TV money, no,
Yeah.
no full stands, even
Right.
though that's not a thing right now. So yeah, and the third example would be Partizan Belgrade, which is a much more common situation because this is a club with no real owner. It's a kind of a public institution, financed partly by government or government-owned companies. It does. It takes a lot of. How to say? If there is money in the country, there is possibility there is money in the club as well. So that's really complicated. But that's
Sure.
not only in Serbia. You can find these situations in Spain, for instance. Real Madrid and Barcelona are also like publicly owned clubs, and that's pretty strange.
Well, we're gonna take this conversation, I think, now back to Denver sports. But before we let you go tonight, do you have a prediction for the game? How do you think it's gonna go?
Don't let us down, Miroslav.
Be honest though.
Oh, no.
Okay, so what I hope for is
no.
120-118 for Denver because
Okay.
I'm really afraid of those Utah three-point shooters. That's
Yeah.
completely crazy. The other thing that's we don't speak enough about, Denver is not a bad shooting team. We're like 11th in three-point percentage.
Yeah.
So if Denver has a good night, we do have Michael Porter who is shooting 49%
Yes, we do.
from
Yes,
three.
he is.
We just need to let him play.
That
And
too.
we have J Mike that
What are you, a
shoots
genius?
like 47%. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I have some this crazy feeling because I'm not in
Oh,
Colorado,
baby.
so I don't have any reason to hate Utah people. So
Give it to us.
I don't know, man.
Come on.
It feels to me like if we lose, okay, let's just go to Detroit and destroy them tomorrow.
Oh man.
But if we win this game, then we are heading to the three-peat. So that's
It all
love
hinges
it.
on this game.
It all hinges
Turns out
on
it is a
lot, right?
must-win
Yeah.
game, Miles. What do you know?
Miroslav, thank you so much, man. We're gonna have to catch up
homie.
soon, man. I got like so many more questions for you, but we'll talk soon, okay, buddy?
Yeah, you got it.
All righty, guys. So now let's quickly go through this here, talking about ownership, because the Nolan Arenado situation very clearly about ownership. I mean, it all starts from the top. That
Oh my God.
organization.
You're gonna give me
just
the
sucks.
bends here. Like I was just so happy talking to Miroslav.
Well, we can be happy because now my question is: are the Kroenkes the best owner in Denver sports?
Can I answer that in
Yeah.
a word?
Yeah, in a word.
Yes. Yes, they are.
But here's the follow-up question for because I think the answer is yes. I'm sorry, Bo. You agree? I assume?
Yeah,
No.
sure.
The question is: are they good? And what does it mean to be a good owner? Like, I think we were talking before. I think the Kroenkes are clearly above a threshold of like we should be upset. You know what I mean? But also, there are like great owners that you're like, we can't lose with these guys. Like, we're always going to be great.
yeah.
I don't know if the Kroenkes are. I mean, they're not in that tier, but what are they good?
So my perspective on this is that the Kroenkes are multi-sport, multi-franchise owners
Yeah.
worldwide. They're a corporation when it
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
to sports ownership. But the thing about that is that it doesn't allow them to meddle. They just don't have the time to do it.
good
So
point.
the Kroenkes will not get a G League team. They will have a terrible training facility, but they'll put Tim Conley in place and they'll just allow him to do his job. They'll put Joe Sakic in place. They'll just allow him to do his job. They'll put owners in place or actual people to run the team in place that do a good job. Like the Rams just went to the Super Bowl. The Rams just made a great trade last night. Like their teams do well. And you could say it's because, it's not necessarily because of what they're doing. It's more what they're not doing. you
Right.
know?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that's the best case for them being good owners. But like, look, there are basketball teams out there who have multi-million-dollar like departments, right? Like specifically just the analytics staff and stuff like that. Denver has one full-size court in their practice
Yeah,
gym.
yeah,
They
yeah.
don't have a G League team, right? So they maybe as they're doing good things with the Nuggets and the Avs, they're getting criticized for the way they've handled, is it Arsenal, their minority ownership stake?
Yeah.
They screwed the people of St. Louis over.
Yep. Well, you know what? Good.
So
Good.
And look, at the bottom
Enjoy Nolan.
line is this is one of the richest families in America, and people cannot watch their team, the good teams that we're talking about.
Oh, it's terrible. You're
they
right.
can't even get out of their own way and let people watch and embrace and enjoy those teams.
This is really
that just
like
can't be ignored.
This is really a Sophie's choice.
The real Sophie's choice.
At a certain point, you're like, all right, do the Broncos have the best owner? They don't actually have an owner. The Rockies have solidified themselves as potentially having the worst ownership group in the history of sports.
Right.
So that's a tough one to overcome. So the Kroenkes just by default win by a landslide.
And we have to say, like, we have no like allegiance to the Kroenkes or anything like that. Sometimes people are like, you guys, what do you guys like? Like, honestly, man, I try to be objective about these things because I feel like it's really easy to just to hate the owner or this or that. And I think Brendan kind of said it best. Like, there are some things that they've done that have been great. If you look at the Nuggets NBA era, if you look at the Nuggets even all of their era, they've had, I think, 4 golden eras. They've had one in the ABA. They had one in the 80s. They had one in the 2000s with Carmelo and George Karl. And then they've had this one that they're in now. The Kroenkes have presided over 2 of those. So we're talking about a 55-year history, and the Kroenkes have owned it for 20 years and have half of them.
Yep.
The Avs are good. The Rockies, or the Avs are good. The Nuggets are good. Like, okay, there are... At the end of the day, you want your teams to be competitive, but Vought's also right in saying that, like, I don't know that people are clamoring to come to Denver. The fan base is kind of being put in the tightest possible pickle right now because it's like it's very difficult to get access to watching them. They don't seem to be as interested in growing the fan base in ways that maybe don't win them money in the short term, but are help them in the long term.
It's funny though, but like don't also forget the Mammoth have won multiple championships.
Well, I don't. This means almost nothing.
The Rapids have won an MLS championship.
Rapids. There you go.
Their
Rapids
team.
matter,
I mean, they literally. Where I think the Kroenkes fail is being able to attract people to come to their teams, but where they succeed is in actually putting together a successful structure in place, an infrastructure that can actually manufacture wins if the right decision makers are involved.
Which sort of segues us to the point, like, what is the point of being an owner of a sports team, and what do you owe to the people of that city? And you can manage this like a business and clearing and making profit if you want quarter by quarter, but there are a lot of ways to make money when you have that much money.
Right.
Why get involved in this if there's not going to be a sense of pride?
Well, you could argue it's actually been like the best investment you could have made. The way sports have exploded in value.
You don't have to argue that. You just point at the balance sheet.
But to get involved in something like this and then not embrace the connection to the community, the competitiveness inside of you, right?
And look, I think the Kroenkes are like average in that too, because not every owner is like gung ho about the city in which they reside. And the Kroenkes feel especially like, hey, they're in LA, they're here, they were in St. Louis, like, they don't, to me at least, feel necessarily like pro Denver, other than they have businesses in Denver.
Right.
And that's a contrast now to the Utah Jazz. Just got a new owner in Ryan Smith, who is like a diehard Utah Jazz fan, like a diehard Salt Lake City person. And you can feel it. Now, he's been an owner for a month. Like, we have no idea if he's going to be good. But it is cool I think it is something cool to a fan base early on. Whatever you think of Mark Cuban, you feel this way about him too, that he like bleeds Dallas Mavericks blue,
exactly.
Like he really wants it. And there's something cool about that. And I think Josh Kroenke really cares about the Nuggets. I'd like to see him maybe out in front a little bit more on that kind of thing and feel it a little bit more. But maybe it's just, maybe it's not needed.
No, I mean, I've said this to you multiple times. Like, the best thing that ever happened to the Nuggets is the rule the NFL put in place that you couldn't be an owner of multiple sports at one time. So Stan was forced to give ownership in title, whatever, over to his son.
His wife.
Who was his
and
wife.
His president is and his
son. But anyway, so now his son is actually making the decisions, and he's making he's presiding over it, and he is a basketball person through and through. He played basketball. He's literal friends with LeBron James in a non-ironic way. Like, this guy loves basketball, so he, being a basketball mind in place and knowing that Tim Conley knows what he's talking about, like that's how we have gotten to the place we've gotten to.
What we're really saying is, Josh Kroenke, you need to come on the DNVR show.
Josh.
Like, what the hell, man?
Also,
Josh Kroenke owns quite a few D-line shirts.
Build a new practice facility,
That's right.
please.
That's a good point.
Practice facility.
I definitely think Josh cares about the Nuggets, but
we
want
Josh.
Winners. We want to see it happen. So far, we're on a trajectory here. All right, it's our favorite part of the show, guys.
Oh boy,
it's our favorite part.
Was my favorite
Dev,
part.
come in here, help us out.
It's not anymore.
We have some bets coming on. Oh, by the way, guys, Ecamm effing up, like our software that we use effing up, and we had to like close the set to 3 people. Deb, you can be a ghost. Your volume will be on. We won't hear you. All right, guys, the Utah Jazz 3-point favorites tonight coming into our house as favorites. I think that's appropriate. I think they should be favorites. They have not only won 11 games in the streak, they're covering every time. So they're winning and winning by more than what Vegas thinks. Deb, right off the top, what do you think? What do you think about that line?
On the money line?
No, not the money line. -3 Utah.
Every game that the Nuggets and the Jazz play are bangers.
That's true.
I think that it's going to be a very, very close game that comes down to like the final shot, as it always does. So I think that 3 is just a lot to give.
Okay. That's an interesting take there. Do you like Denver's chances tonight?
I do like their chances. I personally think that Jazz are just on such a heater that it's just going to be hard for a team like Denver, who's still trying to figure it out, but still managing to win games, to just all of a sudden play great basketball. So I do think the Jazz win this one, unfortunately.
What do you think, Vote?
Yeah, that's all well and good. Screw the line. Give me the Nuggets money line.
Oh, let's get hot. Let's get hot up in here.
Jazz are due for a loss. The
do
Nuggets
it.
played them well.
Yeah, what are you going to win them all, Jazz?
Yeah, come on.
The Nuggets played them well, and this time around, MPJ's in the mix, in theory. So, yeah.
What do you think?
That's a heart bet.
Man, I don't know.
bet that.
I don't want to tell people to play with their money with my heart. But I mean, truthfully, like I would not in any way be surprised to see the Nuggets win this game. Like this matchup means something to them, and as Dev points out, like these are, and as we've said, like every one of these games all the time come down to it. And we lost by 4 points last time. We did not have Michael Porter Jr. in tow. We don't have Jamal Murray in the same capacity, but this was the game last time that he really came awake for.
Right.
And so again, and it seems like we're going to say this a lot. This really comes down to the performance of one Jamal Murray, I believe.
Yeah, and that's why I'm a little nervous about today, is because he just looks. Look, I think Jamal Murray is a warrior. I think he's better. Last show we talked about, like, look at the numbers; they look almost identical, and I do believe that. Like, there's a lot of truth to. I just think this is more or less who he is, but I also think he's banged up right now and less than what he can and should be. Like, as much as I think his numbers this season are who he is, I also think what he did in the bubble is who he is when the games matter. And so tonight you could say this game matters a little bit. I don't know if he's going to be able to overcome all of it, but I do expect him to always rise when the team needs him.
So what about he's 19.5 tonight, and the odds are in favor of the over. Like, it's good odds on the over.
And if there's one game that Jamal Murray gets up for, it's the Jazz.
Yes.
Like, that's
Donovan
the
Mitchell.
one
That's the Donovan
team
Mitchell. Yep.
that
He's
he's
got his
really-
sneakers, man. The Spider Mitchells. They should be the blue arrows.
Oh boy.
Yeah, like that's the person that I think that he just that's
blue
his
ballot.
right. The person that he wants to show up for every single time, and that's the one that they've been going at it, and he like wins the battles most of the time. So I do think that that's a game that he'll go up for. Having him at 19.5, I think that it's plus money at that.
Yeah.
How do you not go with it?
Yeah, I'm taking that one.
Today features our official DraftKings pick of the week also.
Which is?
Nikola Jokic over 1.5 3-point
Oh, wow. Yeah,
three-point
that's
shots.
right.
He's going to be drawing or attempting to draw Rudy Gobert out of the paint, as he always does, so we can free it up in there, allow
this
other
one.
players to operate, and also check out the assist line today as well.
Okay, I like it. Michael Porter Jr., 13.5 points. That's another one that I find interesting because
Yep.
I wonder if Michael Malone got called to the principal's office over the weekend with a little bit of a, what the hell, dude? We lost one game on this trip, and it was the one you made a point to Michael Porter. And
I thought we agreed.
I thought we agreed. I thought we had a thing. Maybe not. Honestly, there's
We had a
probably
plan.
We're joking. I don't think there was any call down to the principal's office. But Michael Porter not scoring over 13.5 for a second game in a row. The only happens, it feels like, if he plays less. Like if he plays
Right.
25 minutes per game, he scores 14.
I have, in my anecdotal, semi-professional opinion, MPJ responds well to these moments. I had typically find when Malone is trying to make a point, the next game you'll see MPJ a little more
why
engaged
he
on the
keeps
glass,
doing it.
cutting off ball. Maybe there's something to that. And looking in the mirror and saying, okay, what can I do to make sure coach has no excuse to yank me next time? Typically, he responds well. I think this line is nerfed down because of that result, and I think he plays more today, so I like this one.
Yeah, with that, he's going to be going up against the Jazz second unit. The Jazz starters, they're a team, like, they're cohesive. They know how to play well with each other. They play correct basketball. Then you go to that second unit, and you have Jordan Clarkson, who's a gunner.
Is he in tonight?
It's a gunner versus a gunner like type
True.
of group, and
Environment,
he's in the
yeah.
second unit. I think that they just let Michael Porter Jr. go off or do whatever he has to do. So I do think that Michael Porter Jr. is a player that they do talk about, hey,
I'm taking
you
it.
actually do have to
talking
score.
about Dev.
You are going to play more. So that's a line that I would be.
Got a unit on MPJ. That's my
talking.
bet, baby. I'm in, baby.
A single
I'm in.
unit? Are you?
Yeah, single unit. I'm getting wild here today. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget, we're going to be in the post-game lounge, hopefully a winner's lounge. We'll see you all there. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace.
Let's go, Nugs!
Let's go,
What
Nugs.
was my phrasing? Let's go.